Hello, I'm Marjorie Haynes and this is No Face Meals. Today I'm going to show you a quick and easy vegan butter. One of the harder things for me to give up was butter because butter is just good, and margarine, commercial made margarine is just way too salty, or it's just off. It's just not good for us. So I found this recipe and we really like it. It's got common ingredients, so you're going to start with your coconut oil, and then you want to melt a cup of it, and I'll have this recipe on the website here. So you want a full cup of melted coconut oil. Okay, the recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of canola. I'm not a canola fan. I want the avocado. Avocado's got its own natural butter taste. So, I mean, it's butter on top of butter on top of butter. I like this recipe because you can actually control the salt. It's all good fats, where sometimes your margarine is not that good fat. Now, in this little handy dandy, I have a third of a cup of plant-based unsweetened milk. Almond milk, soy milk, I'm using oat milk. And I have a teaspoon of apple cider vinegar. Anytime you add an acid to a milk-like product, it becomes buttermilk-like. So you get that yeasty, buttermilky type smell to it. And don't worry if you mess up like I did this morning, put some of your nutritional yeast in it. It's all good. In here I've got half a teaspoon of salt. I've got 1 teaspoon of, well, it calls for 2 teaspoons of nutritional yeast. I'll put some in the buttermilk, which you shouldn't do, but that's okay. We all mess up. This you have to have. If you're gonna make vegan, cheesy, buttery, anything, nutritional yeast is gonna get you there. It's got a teaspoon of turmeric. Turmeric does not really have a flavor. It's really, really mild, and it colors it the color that butter normally is. And apple cider vinegar. Now, can you use a different kind of vinegar? Sure, you could probably even use lemon juice. It's just that apple cider gives it a little more of a kick. So we're going to add this. And this is like super duper easy. And you can use whatever oil you'd like. Like I said, the recipe calls for canola. I'm not a canola fan. I'm team avocado oil, you know. So you put this in your blender. All right, so you got all your ingredients in there, and you whip it. And you're really just blending it to incorporate. You know, you're not whipping air in it or anything like that. You just want to make sure your turmeric, all your dry ingredients are in fact nice and incorporated. Okay? I should mention that when you do this and your buttermilk, do this first before you melt your coconut oil, because by the time your coconut oil is melted and you got everything else in here, it'll be ready. Now I know it looks like it is like super duper wet, liquid. That's cool. That's fine. Coconut oil will firm up in the refrigerator. Now, when you want to use this, take it out before you want to like put it on toast, so it's ready to go. Because just like real butter, this'll get hard. And we may guess we got some left over for breakfast. Anyway, that's the way it looks. When it hardens, we'll get you another shot. Tastes just like butter. All good fats, and done in a fraction of the time. This is our vegan butter that we did yesterday. We put it in the refrigerator for overnight. Usually you need a good 6 to 8 hours, but as you can tell, it's real rather hard, just like real butter would be. I would suggest taking it out, you know, to spread on your toast when you're making your breakfast. Take it out for half an hour, 45 minutes before you need it. and that way it'll spread better. But you can replace this with use this to replace any kind of butter, margarine, whatever in your recipes. This will probably go with makes no-bake brownies out of it, no-bake cookies out of it. It's a treat I like, and you don't have to worry about it. But as you can tell, it will spread and be yummy. So here you go. You know, this is a good recipe for vegan butter. Replace it with all your any other kind of butter that you would use in cooking or in baking. You can use it in baking. You can also line this with parchment paper before you pour in your butter, and then you could just lift it out. I like these glass bowls. It works for us. You know, you just put the lid on and you're good to go. But you can use this in savory. You can use this in sweet applications. It's nice to have. It's easy to do. You can control your salt level, and it's inexpensive. And that's the whole thing right there. A lot of your processed vegan options are pricey. You know, a good butter will cost you, you know, $5, $6, $7, and that's a lot of money whenever you can make something like this for less than $1. Hi, welcome to No Face Meals. I'm your host, Marjorie Haynes. Today I'm going to give you a good substitute for eggs. Another thing that was keeping me from being vegan was eggs. I liked especially scrambled eggs, breakfast sandwiches, all that. But as you get older, you really have to safeguard your heart, and too much cholesterol is not a good thing. So we did a little research. There's a product out on the market now that's getting a lot of play that is really good. We loved it. The problem is that it's expensive. You know, it's like $5 for maybe 2 servings. If you can afford it, that's great. If you can't, like us, it's a treat. You need to find something else. You also, with this recipe, can modify it. You can change the recipe, you know, to your taste. Our main ingredient, as you can see here, is mung beans. Organic moong dal, okay? You want to get the split variety, okay? That's what moong dal is the split variety. It's been used in the Middle East and India for thousands of years. It's got a huge amount of protein. You know, it's got like 24 grams of protein per 100 grams. I mean, that's like a huge amount. So it's good for you as far as protein goes. It has almost no sodium in it naturally. So if you add a little bit of sodium to it, it's fine. You want to take 3/4 of a cup of mung beans, and that's what this is, and you want to soak it for at least 6 hours. I usually just put mine to soak overnight, and then I make it in the morning. You can, you know, this will make a whole lot. It will stay in your refrigerator for at least 7 days to 7 to 10 days. I guarantee it won't be in your refrigerator that long. We tend to eat ours rather quickly. So let's go ahead and get ready. I'll show you the recipe. This is your moong dal. So that's what is going in. Already in my little handy dandy food processor, I have, of course, olive oil. No, avocado oil. Recipe calls for olive. I do avocado because you know I got a thing for the avocado. So you want to add oh, 2 tablespoons or thereabout. Okay, so we're gonna, we ain't neat about it. You want to rinse your beans, then soak them in lukewarm water for 6 hours to overnight. I prefer to do overnight, it's just that easy. Then you want to rinse them again. Rinsing your beans will help with getting, there's a nutrient that makes you gassy. It's beans. You're going to be gassy. If you're used to beans, like a lot of vegans are, then it doesn't really bother you much. But it might to someone who's not quite there yet with it. We eat a lot of beans, so it doesn't really bother us that much. Another secret ingredient that we're going to put in here, and you have to put this in here, it's black salt. Whatever brand you want. This is what makes your beans taste like eggs. It's got the sulfur smell and taste. Use it sparingly. In this whole big container, we're only using 1 teaspoon and 1/4 of a teaspoon. So it's very powerful, and you don't need to use any other salt but this in this recipe. So it's a win-win. Doesn't have that much sodium in it. You don't need a lot, but it's a have to. You have to have that. That's why a lot of people are, well, that's pink. If you look real close, it does have black flecks. This brand in particular, it's an extra fine grind, which I like. You know, you don't have to worry about, you know. So it doesn't, it comes from black salt, but when you grind it, this is what color it turns out. So there's flecks of black in it. I'm sure there's actually salt that is black on the market, but they probably dye it. This is not dyed, and that's fine. I don't need to look like that. You also want to put in our friend nutritional yeast. You want 2 teaspoons of nutritional yeast, which I don't have my teaspoon measure, so we gonna fudge on it. You know, you can't overuse nutritional yeast. You know, you really can't. I know I'm supposed to measure it, but we don't have our teaspoon here, and that's, I'm gonna call it. You can put a little more, put a little less, it doesn't matter. You really can't overuse the nutritional yeast. And here I've got my black salt. I got half of a teaspoon of onion powder. I've got 1 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. That'll make your eggs fluff. Okay. Now we also need turmeric, and well, you can really smell the sulfur. Turmeric, it says 3/4 of a teaspoon. As I said before, it really does not have a taste. It's just for looks. If you want to put it in, cool. If you don't, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Now, we also need one and a half cups of milk. Okay, this is coconut milk. So 1 1/3 cup. But you know, I say screw it, and I put the whole thing in because I'm not going to have to worry about leftovers. And it's almost, it's just maybe a little bit over, so it's not that big a deal. Can you use other milk? I'm sure you can. It's not a big deal. It does call for coconut milk in the can. Sometimes it's a little thicker. I know people say, oh, isn't that going to make it sweet? No, it really isn't. Canned coconut milk actually has very little coconut taste to it. It's a lot milder than your other. Another thing you're going to need is flour to thicken your eggs up with. This is a blend of white rice and brown rice and a few other like tapioca starch, that type of thing. You can use regular flour if you want. It's to thicken your eggs. But you have to have some kind of flour. I happen to have this left over, and you need 1/4 of a cup. I think this is what this is. 1/4 of a cup. I actually have tapioca starch in it. So that's, if your eggs it doesn't look thick enough to you, you can add a little more flour. If it's too thick, you can add a little water. This batter should look like a crepe batter, which is a really thin pancake batter, is what it should look like. We tried this recipe the other day, and we ate the container. We'll blend this up. You're looking for a smooth consistency, so this takes a little long. Not real long, but long enough. Smells like egg up in here. Now, you could use this mixture for baking. That's the consistency you're looking for. I'm not going to pour this out because I'm not that talented. A pan, a skillet to like make omelets and whatnot out of this. You have to have a nonstick pan, and you have to make sure you grease it, because this will stick. Like every other egg replacement I've ever used, it'll stick, because that's the nature of the ingredients. So what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to liberally spray a glass 9x13 baking pan, and I'm going to bake my eggs at 350 for about 30 to 40 minutes. You'll know when they're done, because you can put a fork in the middle of it and pull it out, and it comes out clean, like any other baked good. We bake the whole pan, and that way you can cut it into squares. Eat it that day, have it for the next day. You can freeze this as well. What I would do is I'd cut it into squares, and I would flash freeze it, put it on your cookie sheet with some parchment paper, and cooked, of course, and freeze it for 20-30 minutes, and then put it in gallon bags, so next time you want egg, you can just pull it out and reheat it in the microwave. It's really good for on the go. Like we have shows that we do, so I can envision having this frozen and put it in my cold bag, and by the time lunch is ready, it should be thawed out, ready to eat, because cold eggs is just as good as as anything else. So I'm going to go ahead and get this in the oven, and we'll come back and I'll show you the finished product. Welcome back to No Face Meals. Our egg dish is ready to go. It is cooked all the way in the middle. As you can see, I made the mark. We're going to cut a little bit like this. I know a lot of people are going to ask, okay, does this really taste like egg? Yes, it tastes like egg. Like everything else, I tear up the first slice. As you can see, you've got that nice yellow fluffy texture to it. You can see it steaming. A good idea would to be let this set for like 5 minutes or so, but I mean, it's definitely egg-like. It's got a lot of protein in it. You can definitely just make half of it and bake it, or pan fry it, or we cut it into squares and we make breakfast sandwiches out of it. Good alternative to eggs if you don't want to eat the eggs, or really shouldn't eat the eggs. It's time for breakfast, so I'm going to get into some of this. This is all the time we have for No Face Meals, where the food are the stars.